All right, well, today we are back on the Minneapolis, and as you can see, we've made headway. Got the radiator out. What I originally thought was access plate into the top of the steering gear was actually part of the cooling reservoir for the bottom of the radiator. So that plate was actually attached to the radiator. It was a big brass plate that unbolted all that, and the passages in the bottom of the radiator all actually go straight into this. And I would assume if I looked a little closer, I would have noticed that the water outlet there is down into that casting. So yeah, duh, that's actually for the radiator. It wasn't until I got all this out that I am very confident I have figured out the source of my ATF leak from the tractor's hydraulic system. I don't know if I specified in the last video, it does require Dextron 3 fluid. But after getting that radiator out of there, I noticed right there, there's a breather that is indeed into that steering gear. So how it was pouring fluid out, it was coming out of that breather and draining, where are we at? Right down through that hole onto the ground. So, been thinking about this for a bit now. I'm going to have to go to the service manual I have for this tractor and verify it, but I do believe that steering gear is likely should have some kind of gear oil in it. When I did pull the pump out, it was full of milky ATF. So something tells me my power steering pump somehow was leaking fluid in and pressurizing the steering gear to the point of it flowing out of that vent. Now, in that first video on the steering gear, I went through that pump and resealed everything I could find. Well, I kind of went back to that video and I did nothing with the geared, the section of that pump that had the actual gear that meshed into the gearbox. Aside from that one gasket, it didn't look like there was anything else that had seals in it, but I'm second guessing that, so I'm going to do a deep dive into my service manual and see if I can get a parts explosion of that gearbox and power steering pump. And I may be taking that back apart a little bit and replacing some more seals, but that's where we stand now. I guess it's some kind of progress. Okay, well, we got our replacement universal joint for the steering shaft. Go ahead and put that together. This one's nice. It actually came greasable, so I finally got a minute to look into the whole leak issue with this deal. Got into the service manual finally and dug deep into that, and very confident I have it figured out. The spool valve in here, I did replace the 2 O-rings that are in these end caps. Parts explosion I found actually does depict 2 more O-rings on the spool valve itself. So we're going to crack the spool valve back apart. We got to take this control valve body off, as well as both the end plates. And I don't know, I may have to separate all this thing again. We're going to find out. We're going to start here and we'll just see what happens. But we need to get down to those, we need to get the spool valve out of the valve body itself, or the spool valve itself, and see about matching those 2 O-rings up. I will overlay an image from that service manual in this part of the video. And in there, it's pretty clear that if you have hydraulic oil leaking into your steering gear where it should be gear oil, the only thing that could cause that is a leak at these spool valve seals themselves. So how tight? All of it. To remove, and that's what's going to get the spool valve to actually slide out. Yeah, so this set screw here is what we're going to need to pull to get our spool valve out. Okay. Although I am going to go back to that manual, or my PDF of the manual, and see if there is a torque spec for that it lists, because that was freaking tight. For a 3/8 bolt, that thing had pretty good torque on it. Looks like it's a fine thread though, so makes a little more sense. And it's filthy in here, so that's good. I'll be able to clean this out a little bit better too. Get some brake clean in it. So So it does talk about a spanner or something of the sort. I'm guessing into these flats. And we're gonna somehow spin that out, I guess? I don't know. Maybe going back to the manual sooner than I thought. Hopefully not. We're gonna try something here. I'm also gonna count my turns and put an alignment mark or marks on the housing with these flats. Make things easier on myself. Yep. So, these should be the source of that fluid blowing into the gearbox. Hopefully we got some O-rings that'll match those pretty close. And we'll be able to clean some of this out and put it all back together again. And I know this metric O-ring kit worked for all the other O-rings I did in this, so hopefully it'll come through one more time. Definitely had some moisture in there at one point. Got some rust pits in that spool itself. That's less than ideal, but pretty sure you're not going to go buy a steering gear for a 57 Minneapolis Moline off the shelf anywhere, so we're working with what we got. As long as it kind of does a better job than what it was doing. That's the whole goal, anyway. I'm actually going to hose that off. Maybe grab a couple paper towels, huh? Oh yeah, that's filthy. That hydraulic system will probably be quite a bit happier too with a lot of this filth cleaned out. Go ahead and clean the spool body out real quick. Well, I might have just messed up my alignment marks. Good thing I videoed it, huh? That'll get us close enough anyway. Yeah, that didn't do us any favors. You might be able to see them a little bit still. As long as we're relatively close. There is a procedure in the manual to actually set that, but I was hoping to avoid doing that. Man, there is like a lot of dirt in there and filth. This goes to show like the quality of some of the stuff back then. Be full of junk. I mean, I guess some would argue, well, that has to do with machining clearances too, like tighter tolerances on a lot of this newer crap. Of course it's not going to run with dirt in it, but I don't know. I know I'm not the only one, but stuff is built so much better than damn near anything you're going to buy today. It's sure as hell going to last longer, I can tell you that. You're not going to go buy any tractor today that you're going to see in 70 years, pretty likely. Not without a whole lot of time and a whole lot of money. And yeah, I'm spending time and money right now, but not like what it's going to cost you 70 years from now. Let's put it that way. If you can even find parts to fix things on newer machines, which not going to be likely, but Jesus, there is so much junk in this. It's gross. Nasty. Clean now. Gotta get it dried out. Definitely clean. Man, what a treat this tractor is going to be to drive with, like an operational power steering system. She's a beaut, Clark. Let's try to get that spool back in there. That's real nice. Let me get some silicone. Well, that was the wrong side, dummy. Yeah, I'd say that's a good fit. Give her a little more. By a little, I mean all of it. All right, that's started in there. Let's see what we can do here. I don't know about you, but some chemical smells I absolutely love. Others I hate. Aerosol silicone smells horrible. Not my thing. Okay, so we're grabbing threads. We originally were, actually I can still see that mark in the yellow paint. So let's start counting. Half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8. So that is where we pulled it from. So, in theory, we should be right on. Okay now, well, I reassembled that portion. I went back, looked for a Torx spec, couldn't find one. So I opted for the longer handled ratchet and tight. Had a lock washer on it. It shouldn't fall off, I think we're all right. I did, however, while I was looking for a Torx spec on that bolt, notice something I didn't previously realize, that there is a spool in this valve block. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that out, because by the picture it showed, it looks like there's some O-rings on it as well. So, you know, while I'm here, why not? So one of those snap rings was not a great time to get out. The other one didn't put up any fight. But they're both out, ready to drive the spool out. Okay, so there's 2 O-rings on this spool. We got another separate spool here too. Okay. And then landing. You know you want to come out of there. Got it. All right. So that one has an O-ring just on the cap. All right. So this one goes, we're going to lay it out how it goes in there. Just like so. Simple enough. Right? You know, sure, it's like anything, there's always someone out there that wants to jump in the comments and argue about some dumb shit. So I'll go ahead and clarify. Me spraying these O-rings down with silicone, aerosol silicone. Yes, the manufacturer, I'm sure, would want you to use some kind of a hydraulic oil. I do not give a shit. I am using silicone. I don't really give a shit what you use. I don't need to hear why you're right and I'm wrong. I don't give a shit. If you have a problem with how I do it, rather than wasting your time and my time commenting some smart-ass comment, take your comment and insert it in your ass, because I don't give a fuck. So with that out of the way, let's carry on. Or about anything I'm doing, I should say. Getting real tired of keyboard commandos out there that seem to know everything. Or some master mechanic and I'd walk circles around you. Shove it up your ass, I don't care. I'm here. You're watching my content for some reason or another. I'm just here recording the crap that I'm doing regardless. So I also like to thank any of the viewers that leave the positive comments, as well as even do so much as tickle the like button. But to reiterate, to any of the haters out there, do as your mama told you. And if you ain't got nothing nice to say, then do us all a favor and shut the fuck up. Well, you guys might be right in the way. Oh, did we get it? Okay. Or those lines, shoot, I think we gotta slide those lines in first. Now that I'm looking at that, back out. Oh yeah. Okay. just leaking just enough to piss a guy off. So we need some O-rings for these lines. Okay. Yeah, let me match those up and get back with you. Didn't film me putting it back in that second time there. It was not the easiest task getting those lines slid in with the worm gear at the same time, so didn't film it, but you get the idea. So those two are in. Got the keeper tightened down on that. I just replaced these two O-rings, and gonna go ahead and put them back in. At least the bolt for this keeper isn't so difficult to get to. I mean, that one I had to run it in with an open-end wrench. The loader makes everything more difficult on these, but okay, we can get our steering shaft hooked back up at this point. So let me get our replaced universal joint and we'll try to stab that in there. So I got that steering shaft and universal joint on there, or started anyway. So we got to slide this forward. We have a mount back here on the shaft that uses one of the bell housing bolts. So got to slide that forward to where we can get this bolt through that. Look at that. Just look at it. Then we got, looks like a lock washer and a nut to put on there. Let's say these are 3/4, so I'm gonna have to go grab a wrench and a socket. But we'll start it anyway. Those are bigger than 3/4 actually. Now that I'm looking at that, I'm gonna take it over there with me. I'm gonna say that's probably a 13/16. Turns out 15/16 was the right size. All right, Well, on that note, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. In addition to getting the rest of that steering gear back together, did go ahead and throw on our new belt. Have not tensioned it, and I did leave the alternator bolts loose. That way when I go to spin the fan and put the fan back on, I should be able to, with any luck, rotate that to get all the bolts in. I figure next thing we'll be doing, we'll get that radiator nice and cleaned out and reinstall that, and we'll go from there. Well, it's back together and running. What I was referring to as the power steering pump is not the power steering pump. It required a whole lot more reading because of some of the issues that arised after resealing that. I have fixed a lot of the leaks that were off of that. That's actually the steering damper and control valve assembly, as well as the worm gear. So after getting it all back together, getting the cooling system bled and whatnot, I, within 5 minutes, had the gearbox full of ATF yet again. So after doing more research, I'll show you what I found. First of all, my power steering lines right now, why it's not just pissing ATF on the ground, is because I looped the lines back together on themselves. So right now it would operate as like a manual steering setup. But I'll show you what I found. So, the cylinder on the front of the machine there is actually the steering gear's piston sleeve, and cylinder assembly. The lines off that control valve, that steering control valve, run into that. There's a piston on either side of that cylinder. Hydraulic pressure is applied to either side. The piston is geared right to the sector shaft in the steering gear, which is what turns the wheels back and forth. That's what turns the pitman arm, which turns the tie rod. Simple enough. The problem with that is showing you where that is. It's going to require removing the loader frame to change those seals out, to get those pistons out of that cylinder. And do that, I'm going to have to remove the entire loader frame. So we're going to take a break on this project, I think, for now, and maybe get to that another day. I just wanted to run it to get the cooling system all bled. Seems like it's kind of bled itself out, so it is what it is. You win some, you lose some, and I'm damn near tempted to say the hell with the power steering on this machine and leave it as a manual setup. But we'll see what the future brings. For now, we're going to move on to other issues on this tractor. So probably going to do it for this video. Really do appreciate you guys watching. Just goes to show, I'll post whatever I'm doing, whether it's a win or not. This one I didn't really win on, but it is what it is. So till the next one, see you guys then. Be sure to like and subscribe, share, help a guy out, and have a good one.